Can anyone from any country become Japanese? Yeah. Okay, that was an easy video. Alright, I know, you might be thinking, people can become Japanese, but it's a rare, nearly impossible thing, right? I'd like you to meet
Edo Inoue.
And he
Naturalized, which means I have Japanese nationality.
Yes, this man, formerly known as Adrian David Haville, born in Washington, D.C., United States of America, became Japanese in 2010. So, how did this all come about?
I came to Japan straight out of college, and I didn't really come to the realization that I would let's make it permanent until I was 40 years old. It's not like I was on the fence or just thought about it. It's just like you think that, oh, you know, I've been here 20 years. It probably means I'm going to be here for another 20 years. Nothing against, America or whatnot. I just grew too used to being here.
Wow, okay, but I heard it's hard to become Japanese.
The more and more I read about it on the English net, I realized there was so much misinformation about it that you really couldn't trust anything that was written in English about naturalization. You would hear things, anything from it being, oh, well, it's illegal. They don't let white people become Japanese. So it's like, really?
Really?
Yeah, so when I looked into it, I was like, well, actually, this is not too hard.
Let's face it, Inoue-san, you're a white, well-educated American married to a Japanese woman. Everyone knows that even Chinese and Koreans born in Japan can't be Japanese.
Actually, that's not true. That's kind of an urban myth. There's a thing called SPRs, which is an acronym for Special Permanent Resident. And if you are a SPR, the requirements that you, for example, be able to prove that you won't be a welfare recipient, that's dropped. Basically, the only thing that will keep a SPR from naturalizing is a criminal record. The reason why most SPRs do not have Japanese nationality is because they don't want it. They could get it through a fast-track process if they wanted to.
Tell me straight up, what does it take to be Japanese then?
I think there's 6 requirements. Number 1 is 5 continuous years physically in the country legally. They're very big about the legally part.
I would like to point out that while Edo knew there were 6 requirements, he totally missed that the second requirement was to be over 20 years old.
You can't have a criminal record, either in Japan or overseas. It doesn't say this exactly, but they don't want you to become a welfare recipient. You don't need to be rich, but you have to show that you have the skills and career and ability. Even if you don't have your own job, let's say you're the spouse of somebody who does have a career, or you are within a Japanese family and they have enough assets to say you don't have to work for the rest of your life, we're going to take care of you. If they're willing to put that on paper, that counts. Be willing to give up all your other nationalities.
Did you really give up your US citizenship?
Where's my trader stamp? Bear expatriated self on September 21st, 2011. I forfeited my US nationality by voluntarily committing an expatriating act with the intent to lose American citizenship and formally reporting it. That's what 349A1 means. And you can't be involved in any type of organization that advocates the violent or illegal destruction of the modern Japanese constitution. That modern is actually kind of important because if you're an old-timer that actually fought against Imperial Japan in World War II, that doesn't count. It's okay if you wanted to destroy that Japan. You can't want to destroy the current modern Japan though.
So let's say I want to naturalize. What do I need to do?
What you do is you go with this casework and you go through a series of interviews where this guy or woman is in charge of preparing your packet to submit to the Ministry of Justice.
Oh yeah, they love their paperwork, don't they?
I got chastised once. He goes, I told you to make 3 copies of this last time, didn't you? See, look, it's written right here. And you only brought 2 copies.
I read somewhere they check your fridge for natto and other Japanese stuff.
If they come to your house, The objective is not to see if like you eat natto every day and how Japanese are you. They're trying to say, oh, well, he says he earns this amount of money and he spends this amount of money per month according to paper. Let's see, look around the house and see if what he claimed on paper kind of makes sense.
Did you need to write a love letter to Japan? I mean a motivation essay?
One requirement they have, they say you cannot, it has to be your own words in your own handwriting. Don't have anybody else write it for you. So I managed to get 5 pages. And I thought I'd get emotional about, oh, how much Japan means to me and all this. And so I submit the 5 pages for his approval. And, you know, he reads it very carefully and slowly. And after it, he's done. And I've poured my heart and soul out into these 5 pages. And I said, so, what do you think? You know, it's acceptable. What? What? I really worked hard on that, and that's all you could give me is this acceptable? So, yeah, this is more, no, it's more than fine. Trust me. You don't have to be culturally assimilated, but it's generally a good idea to know the language, because if you know the language, that's a good predictor of whether or not you'll be able to have success in the country in terms of an employment, career, and not having a nervous breakdown.
How did your interview go?
They are very quick and prompt with those interviews because they do them all day long. And you're like, you have a 40-minute slot, and then right after you, there's another 40-minute slot for another candidate, another 40-minute slot for another candidate. They do the interviews in Japanese and all this. And I was really worried at first because I went into the first interview and I felt like I was interviewing for a job. I said, oh, I gotta be really careful about what I say, and I gotta make sure everything that comes out of my mouth is like grammatically correct, and I use a beautiful pronunciation and all this. And no, the guy was surprisingly reasonable, and he was working with me and helping me and probing me. But when I realized the guy that my caseworker assigned to me was there to help me and to get me through the process rather than try to discourage me, then I relaxed a little bit.
Did they interview your wife like the movie Green Card?
I thought my wife was going to blow it for me. She tends to love black humor. And they said, why does your husband want to become Japanese? And she said, beats me in this economy. I wouldn't want to become Japanese either. I would probably want to get rid of my nationality and become non-Japanese. And thankfully, my caseworker laughed. He thought that was funny.
All right, you're Japanese, but do people accept you as Japanese?
People that have a problem with it, or that are surprised or shocked and all that, tend to be non-Japanese, whereas Japanese people actually don't have a problem with it. They're often surprised, and they try to hide their surprisement because it's probably the first time they've ever met a Caucasian naturalized person. So it's like a new experience, and they're trying to play it cool with me. I think for most people in Japan, they can separate the idea of not looking Japanese, but acting Japanese. And by acting Japanese, I mean speaking Japanese as a first language and having that common set of cultural experiences that comes from experiencing the country for a very, very long time.
How many people are successful in becoming Japanese?
If the caseworker submits the packet, your chances of approval are in excess of 95%.
Wait. You said if the caseworker submits the packet. How many packets are never submitted?
Nobody has stats as to how many people give up prior to that submission process, although legal scriveners that actually help people to prepare their packets along with the caseworkers and all that say the dropout rate is around 33%. For special permanent residents, around 25%.
Well, hey, congratulations on becoming Japanese. One last question though. What if you wanted to become a citizen of the United States of America again?
I'd have to get in line with all the other foreigners and do it the same way they do it. I'd have to earn it. I'd have to get a visa, I'd have to get my PR, and then I'd have to naturalize to American, which is ironical because I have a U.S. birth certificate. But yeah, in theory, I could do it. I don't know anybody that's ever done that though. If they exist, I would love to meet one and ask them a lot of questions.
Hello world, Greg here. This was a very brief summary of my hour-long conversation with Edo. There's a lot of detail and color I left out, but never fear, I have the whole mostly uncut version up on the X channel, so check that out. Also, It'll runs a site which I'll link to in the description, which has a wealth of information. As always, I have to thank those who support me on Patreon. That support allowed me to take the time to really stop and think about how to present this video instead of being forced to rush it out. Thanks for watching, see you next time, bye! What's naturalizing like where you're from?